Today I visit Quarry Ridge, one of the newest vineyards in the Fingerlakes, which opened in 2020. This state-of-the-art winery is unique because in addition to having a glass of wine, it offers a sports bar atmosphere. So come along and unwind as we discuss some fabulous wine. Wine, the passport to cultures. On my journey through the wine industry, I've learned about the multiple wine regions, different soils, and the history of the grapes. This sparked my quest to jump outside the box and show the world that wine not only pairs well with caviar, but it also pairs well with a generous serving of callaloo. Hi, I'm Kesana. Join me as I learn about different varietals and how they pair with delicious Afro-American Caribbean food. Welcome to Korked with Kesana Francis. Hi, I'm Kesana. I'm here at Quarry Ridge with...
I'm Andrew. I'm the winemaker and owner at Quarry Ridge.
Okay, Andrew, Quarry Ridge. Please tell me about the name.
Absolutely. So when we started looking for a property to do the winery, we really wanted to have something that tied us to the place, sense of place, the terroir of the area. So we found this property, and lo and behold, right to the north of our property are 4 limestone quarries. Now, they're since defunct, but the story behind those is they were actually used back in the early 1900s, and they were the limestone was brought out down to Manhattan, and they built a lot of the curbing in Wall Street out of that limestone quarry, which is really cool. So we kind of learned that story as we were looking at the property, and we wanted to tie that in. That's just cool, too cool of a situation to not bring into the name. So we kind of started with the quarry, went to Quarry Ridge, Quarry Hill, went to a couple different options, and landed on Quarry Ridge.
Oh my goodness, that is such a compelling story to hear about that. So now your vineyard is located in Cayuga.
Correct.
Okay, so please tell me about the Cayuga Lake effect.
Sure. So there's a couple of reasons we wanted to do the east side of Cayuga Lake, where we are now. One is the moderating impact of the lake, and then again the limestone quarry. So our side, we have a big limestone ribbon that runs right through our property. That's really good for the vines. Grapevines like to be dry. They don't want wet, cold feet. They want dry.
Yes.
Which is tough in upstate New York. So limestone being in the soil allows for a lot of drainage. So we planted our Pinot Noir right on this limestone.
Limestone, oh wow.
Dig right in. We were pulling out chunks of limestone the size of cars when we were planting. So it was really cool to see that. So we have some nice drainage here, and it's good for the vines. We have a lot of anti-irrigation basically to get the water off the vineyard. So that soil, getting some drain tile in, really keeps our vineyard pretty dry over here.
So Andrew, what got you into wine? I know some people are grandfathered in, some people go to school. What made you, what happened to make you say, you know what, I want to be a winemaker?
Sure, it's a lot. There's a lot that went into it for sure. There's a million things that went right, but I guess my background in undergrad was biochemistry, analytics.
Oh my goodness!
So I had the science. I kind of knew organic chemistry, things like that. So I understood the science of winemaking. Now, getting into the wine, I actually credit my dad a lot with that. He's been big into wines. He's been in France. He's been over to Oregon, Willamette, Napa, the whole deal. So ever since I was a little guy, I've been drinking good wine, and I think I developed my passion for it and my palate is from a winemaking perspective. Growing up with him and doing tastings and things like that with him, and the appreciation for it. There's an appreciation of good wine that, unless you're around it and understand it, you don't really get. So between that and then the science and the property came into, it was just a lot of things fell into place, and we're like, hey, let's go for it.
Oh wow!
So it's been fun.
So we're here in your production room where the magic happens.
This is it. This is where the winemaking happens.
Oh my goodness. So what do we have here?
So these are some French oak vats that we use to do our vinification for our Pinot Noir. So what we did is basically, we have 3 of them here. Our state Pinot Noir, we actually have 3 different clone varietals of Pinot Noir.
Okay, question. What is clone varietals?
So each the variety of wine everyone knows, your Chardonnays, your Riesling, your Pinot Noir. Now, beyond that, you can actually genotype the grape, and you can actually say, okay, this strain of grape, it's still Pinot Noir, might be more conducive to a raspberry note in the glass.
Okay.
Or is more cold hardy, so it does better growing in certain areas.
Okay.
Some are more, thin skinned, so they're more diseased. So within that, you can actually select out certain strains of Pinot Noir to promote certain characteristics that you want in the finished wine.
I've noticed that the Fingerlakes have ventured into Pinot Noirs.
Absolutely, yes. So our growing band is very similar to that of the Burgundy area in France. We're on that same latitude band of weather.
Really?
It's not exact, but it's
not.
close.
I mean, but it's pretty close.
It's very close. So
the climate.
From a red wine perspective, in our area, we're never going to get, a Cab Sauv or a Syrah to ripen up like we do in California. We're never going to get that. We just don't have the growing
seasons to do so.
But our Pinot Noir, more frequently now, we're getting some Merlots and we're getting some Cabernet Franc.
So please explain the difference between New York style Merlot, and of course France, Burgundy.
So really, when you're talking about red wine climate in our area here in the Finger Lakes, you're going to get a shorter growing season, but that kind of can make some really nice Burgundian style red wine. So instead of being a 14.5% cherry bomb, then we're going to get much more delicate aromatics, flavors, probably in the 12 to 13% range, so a little less, a little more acidity, a little brightness, and a little bit more tannin structure, to be honest. So they're going to be a softer, more subtle take on your traditional.
The traditional. So now what do we have here? These look like babies.
Right. So these, going back to our Cask Riesling, this is our casks. So technically called a fooder.
So there's white wine in here.
There is. So right now we have our little bubbler on. So this guy, this is our first estate Riesling. So this is going to be exciting for us. So our Cask Riesling, we source our fruit from a couple of vineyards as we were speaking about, but this is actually our first estate Riesling that we put into cask.
Oh my goodness. And what kind of oak is this?
So all our stuff here is all French oak. So it's new French oak. And that's something we use a lot more of in the Finger Lakes is the French style oak. With our barrels, with the vats, everything like that. It impacts the wine. It's a more subtle approach to an aggressive oak barrel style.
Exactly.
In our stuff, much more newer. We have some neutral as well, which means it just went through a couple of vintages. So you're going to get
neutral and new. So you have new French oak.
Yes.
Neutral French oak.
Correct.
And can you tell me the difference between the two?
So the new French stuff is going to be, it's going to impart more tannin and more mouthfeel structure to wine.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like an older.
Yep, just an older guy. Better on the block.
Okay.
That's nice because if you have all new, if I had 10 barrels of new French oak Chardonnay, you're just going to taste the barrel. That's all you're going to get.
Of course, because it's new.
The neutral kind of lets you blend in a little bit. Still has the structure, the mouthfeel, but it's not over the top aggressive with the oak tannin structure of the wine.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. Neutral, new French oak. See, I'm learning something today. It's so different.
You taste and you blend and you find a good balance at the end.
Okay, and now we have your stainless steel.
So these are all the stainless steel tanks. So our unoaked Chardonnay, our dry Riesling, our rosés. So these are all the tanks we have, and you see we have different sizes, things like that. So it's all about capacity, how much we want to use. Air, oxygen is the enemy of winemaking. So we want to make sure that our tanks are filled up, so the cooling band can do its job.
Cooling band.
So basically, these are our new wines that I've terminated fermentation on.
So you stop fermentation.
Exactly.
And how do you stop fermentation? So
you have two ways you can do it. One is temperature, and the other is we can add molecular SO2. So that's sulfur dioxide. It's an antimicrobial addition that we can use. And that's pretty standard. It's in a lot of foods and things like that.
Right.
But in winemaking, the big part of what it does is it will take up all the oxygen, any free oxygen radicals that are in solution, so the yeast really can't do its aerobic exercise and continue the fermentation.
And then it stops the fermentation. So
Exactly.
when it's frozen like this, fermentation has stopped.
Yep.
Yeast are sleeping.
Everything's sleeping.
Okay.
So now we have some rough wine in here that I will go ahead and I'll taste, and then
Rough wine.
So it's not filtered.
Okay,
Yeah, not
unfiltered.
filtered yet. So if we taste them out of our little tasting valves here, it comes out. It's a little cloudy. You can tell.
Cloudy,
it's in
yes,
solution,
of
but,
course.
So it's not polished up yet. But basically, the flavor profile, your alcohol, things like that are pretty set at this point. So we know what we're getting. So I can taste it. I can do some tweaks if we want.
So tweaks as you can add whatever.
Yeah, we can do a little acid adjustments. In New York, we can do sugar adjustments. I try to stay
Sugar
away from
adjustments,
that.
so not the residual sugar, you're adding sugar too?
You can. Chaptalization, we do that sometimes in New York. We do that if the sugar level in the grapes aren't high enough.
Add the
Some
sugar.
people back sweeten if you want like a semi-dry Riesling.
Okay.
Here we do everything pretty dry as our tasting. So
Of course.
I kind of stay away from that part, but that's another thing.
Yes, because you're known for your dry
like to do
rosé, your dry
exactly.
Riesling. You got that down
That's
pat.
what we do. That's our lane. That's our
Okay.
lane.
Okay, so Andrew, what is this? I see so many barrels.
I know. So this is where we're doing our barrel aging and our current fermentations that go into the barrel.
Okay.
Here. So we have our Chardonnay. And we have our Sauvignon Blanc here as well.
Wait, did you just say the magic word Sauvignon
Sauvignon
Blanc?
Blanc.
In the Fingerlakes?
You don't see a lot of it.
I haven't even heard.
It's a tricky grape to grow up here. It really is. So you don't see a lot of that in the vineyards that like to grow and sell the fruit because it's tricky to get it to the wineries healthy. So we got it. We actually have a small plot on Cask Lake that our vineyard guy planted for his wife originally because she loves Sauvignon Blanc. So he only planted an acre, which in winemaking doesn't translate to a ton of wine at the end of the day. So we got that acre. This year we sold out of it in 3 months.
People love
it. It was great.
Sauvignon
Yeah.
Blanc.
And we do it in barrels. What it does is with the Sauvignon Blanc, usually, you'll get some that can be a little tart or grassy.
Of course, the grassy notes, the tart, the grapefruits.
Yeah. And that's Sauvignon Blanc.
Right.
But you put it in a little wood, and especially from that area on Cuca there, it has a beautiful white peach note. It's peachy, it's fruity, it's really pretty. And we tried it last year. It's a totally unique.
Because I know Sauvignon Blanc in South Africa mostly has more tropical notes.
Yep. And
so Fingerlakes has more peachy notes.
I would say, yeah. And again, I think that has to do with where we sourced it and putting it in the barrel. And our neutral and new oak.
Neutral new oak.
Little blend of that, so you get a nice blend at the end of it. It's delicious.
So I'm guessing this is red for the stain.
Those are stain. We try to not drip as much, but we do. So we have our red barrels here. So these guys I actually have prepped to get ready for our reds this vintage. So I actually have a steaming wine that I'll put in the barrel, run it for about 4 minutes. The steam will sanitize.
Of course.
And it swells the barrel. And swelling is important because these guys sit empty a lot of times.
Right.
And if they're not
dry.
storing wine, the wood will shrink up. Then you go to fill it the next vintage, and all of a sudden, all your Pinot's dropping through the barrel. That's
no,
we
don't want that.
No, you don't. So these guys are all prepped up. We've steamed them. We've added a little, we do a sulfur wick, kind of like adding SO2 to the wines to stop fermentation.
Stop fermentation. Also use a wick to stop the fermentation.
Well, and it actually cleans the barrel out too. So there's 2 things that it does. So I can do it when it's empty, and that SO2 wick will burn off. And it will make sure, again, that it's an anaerobic environment, no oxygen, nothing will grow in the barrel as it sits there.
Right. And what do we have here?
So these are the rest of the empty barrels here. These are more the white barrels that I used.
Okay.
So a lot of these were either used for Chardonnay last year, and they're going to get the year off. But these eventually I kind of stack and get out of the way. But that's kind of the end of the white barrel programs here.
So I've noticed that your tasting room has like a hip college wine bar
Yeah, absolutely.
feel.
Sure. And that's, that is by design as well. We wanted somewhere where people could come and enjoy a flight of wine and, take their time, drink it at their own pace. And I think, especially in our area in the Finger Lakes now, the wineries are becoming somewhere where, younger generations, my generation, younger, actually like wine. It's not, the Coors Light bar thing anymore. It's more like, hey, we like to get into having some good wine and learning about the wine and things like that. So I think that, that younger generation now appreciates what goes into the wine that we make in this area. So I think it's something we embrace for sure.
It's really nice. I actually love this, and then you have the beautiful lake view, so it's amazing. This was a job well done.
Thank you. Appreciate
So I see you have some candy for me today.
Absolutely.
And
go ahead.
so where should I start? Should I start
what we'll do, so this is our wine flight. So basically this is how we do our tasting.
Oh, okay.
So instead of having people up at the bar and here's your taste, boom, 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 and kind of move people through, we like to do them as a flight and bring them to you and enjoy them at your own pace. So yeah, we have our Oak Chardonnay, our dry Riesling, our Cask Riesling, and our Rosé, which has been a big
Okay.
thing.
So yes. So which side should I
So
start?
let's start with the Chardonnay closest to you. Absolutely.
And this is
so that is our unoaked Chardonnay.
Oak Chardonnay. I'll save you some.
Thank you. So a lot of Chardonnay in our area, in California, across the country really, is put into barrel. So a barrel, you get your aging, you get the oaky notes and things. And from a winemaking perspective, you can use that because a barreling process covers up a multitude of things. If the fruit was a little sour, had a little too much green in it, whatever it may be, you put it into a barrel for a year, it covers that up. It's going to be tasty. Right. So our fruit, we actually get a lot of hand-harvested fruit from a couple vineyards in the Finger Lakes.
Hand-harvested?
Hand-harvested. So a lot of fruit is machine-harvested from big harvesting machines that drive over, and you kind of, it's efficient. You get a lot more fruit quickly that way, but it also beats it up. So what the hand-harvesting does is it allows us to get the grapes intact, so there's no air, no exposure, no breakage, and then we actually run them through a sorting table. So when we do a harvest day, we'll kind of feed our grapes hand-harvest bunch into our destemmer onto the sorting table, and we'll have 5 or 6 people picking out the sour rot.
Wow!
So it's a pretty labor-intensive process, but at the end of the day, only the good fruit makes it into the press, and you get a lot better quality to start with, for sure.
This Chardonnay is...
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Like it smells like candy.
Oh, it's got a lot.
Smells like candy.
A lot of big fruit, little nuttiness.
Yes.
And the fruit that we use for this one is actually from some of the oldest vines in the Finger Lakes.
Ooh.
They were planted by Charles Fournier back in the 70s.
70s.
So it's some of the oldest plantings in our area. So there's a lot of character, and you just can't fake that kind of age on the vine.
I do get that nutty, buttery. This is delicious.
Thank you.
Okay. What is next?
So next up, we're going to have a little tasting of Riesling here. A little comparison. It's a fun side by side. So what we have, so our Riesling fruit actually came from Cayuga Lake Vineyard.
Oh, okay.
It's over by Dr. Frank. It's one of the oldest, most famous wineries in our area. So it's the same fruit, but I did 2 different vinification processes. So our dry Riesling went right into stainless steel tank and did our fermentation over a few weeks, kept it cool, do that. And that's 9 out of 10 Rieslings in our area are done like that. Probably 99 out of 100, to be honest. So that's going to be our standard dry Riesling.
Right.
Our Cask Riesling, which we'll do next year, same fruit, same juice, but I actually took some and I put it into oak foeders and fermented it and aged it in oak for a few months before bottling it.
So that's your aged Riesling, and this one is.
So this is
your dry Riesling.
This is the dry, nice and fresh. It's going
to have
nice bright acidity, minerality.
Oh wow! It is definitely dry.
Yep.
The acidity is not too much. I do have that salvation, but.
Just enough, not over.
Just is not over some crisp apples, like green apples. This is delicious.
That's actually in the write-up too, so that was good.
Thank you. Look at me. Thank you. This is delicious. I would love this with like salmon burger or something.
Seafood and cuts through it. Yeah, little beurre blanc on it. That's beautiful.
Okay, what's next?
So we'll do the Cask Riesling.
This is the Cask Riesling.
That one, like I said,
okay, let me get a little ring.
And you don't see that a lot with Riesling around here.
Right.
But I really like what Riesling does in wood over a few months. Now, it's not over oaked. It's a fruiter, which is a larger barrel, basically. It's about 2.5 size a normal, 60-gallon barrel. So there's a little less, surface to volume ratio of the wood on the Riesling itself. But it really softens it up. Much more floral and interesting.
Definitely floral notes. And I am getting You know when you get like that freshly polished wood smell?
Yep.
This is perfect for like Thanksgiving turkey for people who are not interested in, like, who don't want Chardonnay,
Right.
but can have Chardonnay stepsister. This is
Absolutely.
kind of like Chardonnay
It moves it in that
stepsister.
direction a little.
Next, we're gonna try the last but not least.
So this is our rosé. It's very dark cherry, fruit forward, inky grape. So I use that to bring some of the fruit backbone and the color to to our rosé.
It's, I can smell the floral notes, but smelling something else there.
I get a lot of, and you know, the interesting thing is, I get like a lot of cherry, like almost like
Sour,
a
like a
sour
sour,
cherry.
yes. But two red grapes produce this.
Exactly, yeah.
That is, like, and the color is gorgeous, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
It's weird because it's kind of like Fruit Loop cereal.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so much going on, like Tricks, Fruit Loops, that fruitiness.
Yeah.
You still get those beautiful rose petals.
Yep.
The cream, which is so weird that I'm getting a creamy note. Some sort of a nutty note as well.
Yep.
It could be maybe macadamia nut, maybe.
Yeah, a little roasted, yeah. I
Roasted
get like
toast.
pine nut, yeah, like
Like, yeah, and it's weird.
Yeah.
So delicious.
Yeah, thank you.
Now,
Appreciate it.
Andrew, how can we get these wines? Do you have a wine club?
We do. We have a wine club. We call it the Quarry Club, which
Quarry Club, that is-
caught on. People like that one, and yeah, we do pick up here, and we can ship. We can do
Ship.
Yeah, we
Oh,
do.
so you don't have to come to the Fingerlakes for this. It actually ships.
We can ship it down.
How many states do you ship to?
So right now we're New York. We
New
get to
York
the city.
based? This,
Yep.
Oh,
Yep,
so in the city.
Yes.
So in the city, Manhattan, because when people say the city, they're only speaking about Manhattan.
No.
What about the boroughs,
Everywhere.
Brooklyn, the Bronx, everywhere throughout the 5 boroughs?
Gotcha. Yep.
Get out.
Yeah,
Most
so
people
there you
don't.
go.
Most people don't ship
No,
to the
we got it.
boroughs.
We
You
got
got to
it.
give the boroughs some love.
Absolutely.
Well, Andrew, thank you so much. This was simply divine.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh,
Kesana. So
Hi.
I heard you might be looking for a wine to do a little pairing with back home.
oh yes.
So I think we have our Cask Riesling here, which I know you enjoy.
Yes, I did.
Goes well with spicy. It's full-bodied. It'll go with meats, spice, anything you want to do with it. Enjoy.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
pleasure.
I can't
Absolutely.
wait to see what I'll pair this with. Oh my goodness. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for having me at Quarry Ridge today.
Absolutely. My
Did I-
pleasure.
Quarry Ridge.
That was good. That was good.
Quarry Ridge. Thank you so much for having me here today. I can't wait to see what else is in store for your
On to bigger and better
vineyard.
things.
On to bigger and better things. It's amazing. You have something great on your hands here, and thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the warmer months.
Absolutely. Come see us in the summer.
Okay. Bye, guys. Provence Rosé. Rosé all day. A combination of white and red wines producing a fruity, light body, pale pink wine. Flavors are strawberry, watermelon, and honeydew. California Rosé. Sunshine and palm trees in a bottle. A crisp, fun, energetic rosé. Rosé styles from still and sparkling wines. Flavors are strawberry, raspberry, and cherry. Fingerlakes Rosé. New York has entered the rosé chat with Quarry Ridge Dry Rosé. This rosé tastes like a raspberry creamsicle. Flavors are raspberry, cherry, and pomegranate. Hi, welcome to Friday Night Flights. Friday Night Flights is about me pairing wine with foods in my neighborhood. I live in a Caribbean neighborhood in Brooklyn. So I want to pair wine with the foods that I know and I love and the foods that I grew up on. The foods that my mother cooked, my grandmother, my sisters, my cousins, my aunties. That's the type of food that I want to pair. You normally don't see that every day, but guess what? This is what I want. Wine is a culture and so is food. So today I have brown stewed chicken with white rice and sweet plantains. And I decided to pair it with Quarry Ridge Cask Riesling 2020 blend. Brown stewed chicken is similar to chicken that is stewed in a sauce, baked, and I have it with some white rice. Normally people would have paired it with rice and peas, but I decided to do something different and pair it with white rice. And I love sweet plantains, and I feel like this Cask Riesling is going to go well with this. Let's give this Riesling a try. I'm so excited to try this. Quarry Ridge is a young winery that opened in 2020. Let's see what this is about. It's not too sweet. Because you know there's different types of Rieslings. There are sparkling Rieslings, sweet Rieslings, dry Rieslings, and semi-sweet Rieslings. This Riesling is semi-sweet, and it is cast. Let's try it with this brown stewed chicken. I feel like this brown stewed chicken and the Riesling is gonna work well together. The saltiness, the savoriness of the brown stewed chicken paired with this semi-sweet Riesling. Just what I thought. That brown stewed chicken, that sauce, amazing. You have your hint of sauce and you also have a tad bit of sweetness. I'm guessing it's the brown sugar. Yes. The Riesling balances it. It clears my palate, the sweetness, but the honeysuckle, the green apples, everything about this Riesling is amazing. I'm in heaven. I think you guys should pair this with it. Go to your local restaurant, get some brown stewed chicken, and think about Riesling. This Cask Riesling from the Fingerlakes. Show the Fingerlakes some love. Their wines pair with foods well. The Caribbean neighborhood that I live in, I feel like our foods pair well with wines from the Fingerlakes. New York, New York. Come on, New York. Show New York some love. New York City, New York State. Let's bridge that gap. Enjoy. Thank you and cheers.